This is video number 15 in the series of tutorials for completing our Drive app. It is also the second one in stage 6. So by the end of the previous one, which was number 14 and the beginning of stage 6, we got to step, let me find it, the step where we had one text, which was 11. And then I asked you that between watching the last part, part 14, and watching this part, part 15, on your own, because you don't really need the video for that, that you duplicate the text 3 more times. Call those duplicates speed, lap count, and best lap. And then they are basically duplicates of each other, but the only thing that's going to be different between them is their Y position. So I have that already. I've done it, since I recorded the last video. So it's this one, Y position 2.1, Y position 1.76, and Y position best lap. And the only other thing that's going to be different is the text, the initial text that we put in them, which were steps number 13, 14, 15, and 16, which you either did or you should pause the video now and do on your own. The speed 0.0, the laps completed 0, the best completed lap 0, 0, looks like, minutes and seconds. Then it says on step number 16 to feel free to use the rect tool to scale and move each text and to adjust its X to your liking so it looks more like, centered. Don't resize it too tight, as the text and numbers will change dynamically when driving. What do I mean? I'm saying I'm looking at this. So first of all, how do I make it look like it's right in front of me? I rotate X. First of all, I double clicked on the canvas. Then I can get closer. I can use the hands tool to bring it into the screen. Use my scroll wheel to make it even tighter. I definitely would recommend using what's called orthographic and not perspective, because perspective is going to make it a little hard, even though I can still do it with perspective as long as I'm looking at it, head on. What I'm trying to say is that for each one of those texts, I can use the rect tool, which is this one. Actually, it'll be much easier if I use orthographic. Yeah. It looks like it's too big, and I'm going to make it a little smaller, but not too small, because remember, the text will dynamically change. So that's why it means what it means by, resize them, but not too tight. Speed, same thing. Now, nothing prevents me from taking this and overall moving it to be a little more, to look centered, but I'm not going to center the text, and we discussed this in the previous part, because I don't want it to twitch on both sides. Especially for the last one that has a slightly longer text. Try to select it like this. I can definitely not only move it to the center, but I can resize it so it looks like it fits, more comfortably. Same thing with this one. If you feel like changing the color, and so on. The reason this is, the last one is like fitting itself nicely into like resizing the box, remember, is because we gave it auto size with a minimum of 0. So it just, fits itself into whatever box we gave it. The point I'm trying to make is that as long as you can see all 4, and as long as each one of them is not resized to be too tight, it'll work. Next. And it shows you how I ended up, this is my way of arranging it. Then we're going to finally create a script that's going to actually control those numbers and populate them. We're going to create a game object. We're going to call it Time Manager. And it's not like nested inside anything else, just like we have the impact sound and all that stuff. We have an empty game object called Time Manager. It will not have anything visual in it, but it's still a good idea to reset its position. And we're going to create a script called Time Manager, and this time this name has got to be exact. We're going to put it in my scripts folder and attach it to the Time Manager object. And as we know, there's 2 ways to do that. I can either create the script and attach it to the object, or I can go add component, scroll the way down, and create a new script. I already have this new script. It's in my scripts folder. So here it is, Time Manager. And of course I can drag it to the object and can drag it to the inspector of the object, it'll say can't add script because a script class cannot be found. It's because when you write the script, what I'm trying to say is, let me open it. Right now, it's not letting me attach it because there's errors in it, and we're going to solve them. And the errors are going to show up even if you type it perfectly. So as it opens, I'm going to look at the code. Well, first of all, I'm assuming that you paused the video, wrote a new script or created a new script called Time Manager, attached or not attached to the object, and typed all this code. It's about 41 lines. And I got those lines already. Now, in my code editor, which is the Mac version of Visual Studio, I'm seeing a bunch of red errors. Even if your code editor, so again, the fact that you're seeing red errors after you are done, and of course this will take a bunch of minutes to type it, even if you have typed all that code perfectly the way it shows up in the screenshot, your code editor might show you errors. But even if it doesn't, even if your code editor is not configured to show you errors, when you go back to Unity and you look at the console, you're going to see a bunch of errors. Even when I try to clear, they're not clearing. They're the kind of errors that don't clear. Now, if we look at what those errors are, it tells me that it's mentioning that application data does not, let me make it bigger so we can read. It does not contain a definition for something called lap count, which is mentioned in the script, and not my time, and not best lap, and not lap count. All those lines that show an error are actually trying to access in the application data variables called best lap, and lap count, and my time, and so on. And the reason it's screaming error is because we have not added those to our application data yet, or as it's phrased in the guide, you might notice that there's a lot of red errors in the code editor or in the console. And all of them have to do with missing application data variables. Those application data variables are in the script, or should be, in the script main drive script. So before Time Manager script, or let me change the verbiage here, those application data variables should be and we just haven't written them yet. So before, I'm reading step 21, so before the Time Manager script can work, we have to add some vars to the drive main script. We're going to open the drive main script and add the following lines that are marked. So we're not writing a new script, we're adding a few lines to a script we already have. And it's these lines. Where do they come in? After the application data variables we already have, but still inside application data variables. So there's a bunch of them right here. So what I will do is go back to drive main script. Here are the variables I already have. I'm going to find the script that I already typed, because I did. It'll take me a second, bear with me. Drive main script. I'll open it just with like a notepad, and bringing it in. Here are the lines that you will have to, I'm pasting them, of course, but I put a comment. They should be, let's make it line up with the guide. They start on line 11 if there's a comment that says new for stage 6, and the comment that ends it would be 18, and end of application data will be on line 21, and that's exactly what I got. And the public class is now being pushed to begin on line 23. The important thing is that I added these variables, especially the ones that are mentioned as errors, like lap count, and the other ones are going to be used later on. Lap count and my time and best lap and so on. We're just adding more variables. Now, as soon as I do that, as soon as I add these new lines inside the application data class in Drive main script. If I go back to my time manager, all my red errors disappeared. And again, even if your code editor does not show errors or or color code, in Unity itself, I should be able to clear all the errors. If not, then it's you committed some typos. So going back to the guide, now I have a time manager script, and now I should be able to actually attach it to time manager because it doesn't have any errors yet. What it does have are those 4 public fields. So let's go over the script and see how it works. First of all, we fixed all the errors. So in the public class time manager, there are 4 public fields and 4 private ones. Private simply means that they don't show up on the editor. There are simply the TMP, the Text Mesh Pro Text, time text, speed, the time on this lap count, how many we completed, and best lap text. In other words, I'm casting the parts. Then there's a private float called best minutes. Best minutes would be, let's say if your best lap was 1:32, your best minutes is 0:1, best minutes. And same thing with best seconds, but there's also another counter that counts minutes and seconds, and that's the current lap that you're doing, where you're trying to beat your, best record. And that's the current lap minutes and the current lap seconds. Why are they float? Because they're the result of dividing floating point numbers, and when you divide integer by an integer, the only answer you can get is an integer. So even though we don't think of minutes and seconds as floating point numbers, to arrive at them, we need them to be a float. So the first thing in this script is, of course, the start. Make sure that you type start with a capital S. And on start, we're simply, let's say, resetting or starting the round, starting the lap. So application data.mytime equals 0. We're resetting the clock. We just fell on the ocean floor. We got resurrected. Time starts from 0. Then it'll calculate. So somewhere in the application data, it remembers our best lap. Now, what we got to remember is that the timer does not count in minutes and seconds, or Unity does not count in minutes and seconds. It counts in just seconds, just running seconds. So the example I always use is my last lap, my best lap was, let's say, 135 seconds. Now, if I show that to the user's going to be confused and go, what do you mean 135 seconds? How many minutes is that? How many seconds is that? So that's what the next calculation is all about. How do I turn this 135 seconds into minutes and seconds? I go, okay, best minutes will be math, float, floor to integer. Why floor? Because we always round down. Let's say 135 seconds, we all know it's like 2 minutes and something because we round it down to 2 minutes and then we have a leftover of a few seconds. So that's why it says math floor to integer. By dividing the application data best lap, that 135 by 60, basically asking how many 60s does fit. So think of it this way. If it was 135 divided by 60, the answer is like 2 point something, but it rounds it down to 2. So the best minutes are 2. Now I got 2 minutes. Then the best seconds are going to be also rounded down of not dividing, but this symbol, which is called the modulus. Modulus in math and in programming simply means leftover. It says something like this. After you divide the best lap by 60, ignore the 60 and just tell me how much you got left over. So, let's say 135 divided by 60 is 2. So, my first 120 seconds, I ignore. And I go, okay, so what's left over where 60 doesn't fit? I got 15 seconds left. The bottom line is that this will give me 2 and this will give me 15. if my best lap was 135 seconds. And finally, now that I got that it's 2 minutes and 15 seconds, I'm going to say, hey, best lap text, that's the actual UI. I want you to convert yourself to a string format and give me the words best completed lap is. Then the first variable will be in the form of this. In other words, it'll put a 0 before it. And the other one will be, the reason this is 0 and 1 is just to signify that it's first and second, just like in an array. Item number 0, item number 1. And both of them will be double digits. So 2 will show up like 02 and 15 will be 15. But if it was, let's say, 2 minutes and 5 seconds, it'll show 0205, the way we're used to showing numbers. And the next two are the names of the variables to populate. Who's the first one? This one. Who's the second one? This one. By the time we're done, it's going to compose a text that says best lap completed, let's say 02 colon, here's the colon, 05 or 15 or whatever, what it is. Lap count is simply the laps completed. It's just going to take the laps completed from the application data, whatever. If we just started the game, it's going to be 0. Then the speed is going to be just simply 00, because at the beginning the speed is 0. It's going to go to the application data and ask, what's the current velocity? It's going to convert it to a string and format it as, integer 0.2 decimals. So this is all for the beginning, which means if I play right now, it fell so, just on the track. The reason this is saying 00 and speed 00 is because we haven't moved anything. Now, the rest of the script, but it was populated from the script, that's what I'm trying to say. Then on update, which means update again and again and again and again 72 times a second, it's going to go to application data.mytime. First of all, update the time. By how much? By 1 frame. Delta time is 1 more frame. 1 more frame has passed. If one more frame of time has passed, then my time should be 0.1. Again, how do we get to this number? Just get 1 divided by 72. That's the fraction. That's how much time passes each frame. Then we want to show it to the user. So we go like, okay, so let's say we're in the middle of a lap and it's 142 seconds. How many minutes and seconds is that? We do the same calculation. We divide that 142 that we're on by 60 and floor to integer. So it's going to be like 2 point something, it rounds it down to 2. We're in 2 minutes. Then do the modulus, which is like, okay, so after those 2 minutes, how much is left? So it's 142 seconds, 60 fits twice into it, so that's 120, and 22 seconds are left. So I'm going to have 2 minutes and 22. Modulus, or remainder, or leftover. Then we're going to do exactly the same thing with best minutes. We'll keep calculating the best minutes and the best seconds. So it keeps updating it, because as we play the game, at any given point, we might break our record. So we have to keep checking. Then we actually put that into the text. Time text will be showing like a running clock that says this lap. And exactly the same thing we went over before. Again, this 0 and this 1, very easily mistaken for minutes, but they're not. They are like the index of the item in an array, like item 0, item 1. And after the colon, this is the format. Show it to me as 2 digits that always begin with 0. And it's going to put the current lap minutes and the current lap seconds. Same thing with best lap. It's going to put the best lap minutes and the best lap seconds. And another simple number will be the number of laps completed. Just like we did it in the beginning, we have to constantly do it while we're updating, because at any given moment we might complete a lap and we want to complete a lap, to show it. Now, how we're going to know that we completed a lap, that's going to happen in stage 7, which is going to have like a starting gate that we're going to cross, and then it's going to know that we finished a lap, completed a lap, and so on. So, going back to the guide, the one thing we need to do, once we fixed all those errors, is to populate and tell it who is going to play the part of time text, speed, lap count, and best lap text. And that's easy because those are the ones that I have in my UI. Oh, not in the track, but in the player vehicle. Here we go. Time this lap is time text. And speed is speed. And lap count is lap count, and best lap is best lap. Now it knows, which one to populate, which means when I play, even before I move, time is running. It's updating the best lap. Now speed is 0 because I'm not moving, but if I do, let me start driving around. Now, the reason this is not getting away from my camera is because I'm on orthographic. Otherwise, I would see that it is getting away from me. That's one of the advantages of orthographic, is getting rid of distance, basically. Let me put it back in play. And time is still running. And I can see, in the game that, it's, if I fall, and this is what it says, play, this lap timer and the speed should work. The laps completed and best lap, not yet, because we haven't built the sensors for that. This lap timer should reset when you fall and reincarnate. Let's actually do that. So if I go here, and in the game window, timer is running. Let me bring this up. If I play and I fall off, next time the scene reloads, this lap reset to 0. The speed, of course, is updated automatically. Notice how the speed does positive and negative. Cool. We have just a few last steps, so I'm going to do them within, this tutorial. What we just did is the most important part of stage 6. We are going to create a very simple gate. It's not going to be the sensor, it's just going to be something the user can see. So it's only 3 cubes. Time to create a start gate. In the whole track container, we're going to create a cube, and we're going to call it left gate. So whole track, right click, 3D object, cube, let it be whatever's the last thing there, and its numbers, its position, are going to be as follows. Let me just make it convenient to see. Negative 2.25 to put it on the left because it's the left gate, or the left part of the gate. 101.7 because it's also up in the air. And Z5 because it's 5 meters in front of the car. And when I double click on it, it actually puts it right here. The other thing I'm going to do to it, there's no rotation, is resize it or rescale it as 0.46 by width. It's rather tall because it's like a column, 3 meters tall, and 1Z. So when I look at it, see how it should look like a 3-meter pole on the left side. I think you're guessing that the next thing we're going to do is give it some kind of material. I'm recommending giving it track mat 2, which should be very easy to find by looking for the materials and finding alphabetically track mat 2, but it doesn't have to be. It's the same one that we used for that first ramp. It could be any material you want, as long as it looks nice. I think you're also guessing that our next step will be to duplicate it. Left gate, edit, duplicate, and of course it's going to be called right gate. It's just a column. Because it's a cube, it already comes also with its own collider, so we can't go through it. We'll be, we can like collide with it. And the right gate is going to be exactly where the left gate is, only the X will change from negative to positive. Instead of being 2.25 meters to that side, it'll be 2.25 meters to the right side. And I got those two columns. And the only thing that's left is to duplicate it again. And I think in the guide I called it gate top or something like that. Yep, I'm pretty predictable. Gate top, and it's only to provide it with a visual of something closed. And the numbers I used were to resize it to 01035. The top gate, 0, 1, 0, 3, and 5. They're all 5 meters away from me, but it needs to be either rotated or rescaled to be 5.5, 0.7, 1.1. 5.5, it's way wider. 0.7, it's not as tall. It's like a slab of concrete on the top. And 1.1 on the Z. By the time I'm done, I got this, call it U-shaped, whatever, a pie-shaped gate made out of 3 slabs of concrete. I believe this is the end of stage 6. Let's make sure. So this is what it needs to look like. You can see I used a different material when I took those screenshots. If you have access to a Quest device, it will be a great time to build because you can go through the gate. You should be able to see all the the numbers and everything. Don't forget that if you do that, if you do have access to a Quest device and you want to build scene 6, you have to go to File, Build Profiles, and Open Scene List, add open scenes, or any other way that will make sure that you're not building scene 5, you're about to build scene 6. As far as submitting it, the same as the last few steps. You're either submitting a video captured in the Quest, if you got access to one, or a video submitted, captured on your computer. The things that are important to me to see in this video, other than everything from previous stages, is to see this new dashboard with text, to see time this lap running and resetting after fall. I need to see the speed going up and down, and I want to see visually, I want to see going through the start gate. In any case, you're submitting your video, whether you captured it on a Quest or on your computer, as your name, Drive Stage 6, and uploading it to the assignment by the due date. I will see you in the next part, which will be part 16, and also will mark the beginning of stage 7, the last stage of our app.